Okay, so for this class demonstration, I'm going to show you how to stretch the quadricep muscle group. So as we know, the quadricep muscle group is an antagonistic muscle in relation to the hamstring group. So when the hamstring flexes the knee and extends the hip, we know that the quadricep muscle, which is here indicated in green, has to stretch. Okay, so again, the hamstring, you know, when it contracts, it extends the hip and flexes the knee. And in order for that to happen, the quadricep has to stretch. So when we consider stretching an athlete, there are, again, three or four considerations to think about when it comes down to flexibility of a particular individual. So as I showed you with the hamstring, in terms of gradually working the stretch in, we're going to do the same thing with the quadricep. So most individuals, as I mentioned before, I shouldn't say most individuals, but different individuals for different sports have different levels of flexibility. So soccer players typically have very flexible quadriceps. Football players tend to have not very flexible quadriceps. Okay, so regardless of who you work with, whether it's an athlete or whether it's a client of yours or a patient, you're always going to determine what their flexibility is before you go into a stretch. And so assuming we've already done some muscle testing and so forth to determine what the flexibility is, we would then understand that this individual is either very flexible, moderately flexible, superiorly flexible, or not very flexible at all. So with this situation, this individual with this type of stretch would be laying prone or laying on their stomach. And so the first stretch I'm going to show you is for an individual who is not flexible at all. And so this flexibility, and this is not for a post-rehabilitative patient. This would be for a client that is a fitness client. It could be a patient that you're working with and that they have had the opportunity to already go through initial rehab, and so now you work with them on some strength and flexibility with regards to their rehab, or you're working with them on stretching prior to a fitness program that you're initiating and so forth. Okay, so first and foremost, with this individual who has limited flexibility, we're going to bring their leg up and they're going to say, okay, let me know when to stop. Okay, and then they say stop. Okay, we're going to hold for 30 seconds. Now, what I can do is I can sit down and I can have them on the table and I can sit down next to them like so. And I could have them slide over. So I would say, okay, can you slide over? They slide over toward the edge of the table. And then I can have my left shoulder on their anterior portion of their shin with their foot hanging over my shoulder. Okay, so instead of me using my hands to stretch them out, I'm going to try to gain more leverage and use my body to stretch them out, more of my upper body and so forth. Okay, so I'll put them to the side of the table, leg over the shoulder, and then I can, if I have a roller stool like I have here, it's very easy for me to roll back and forth, right? If I don't, then I'd have to be able to use a different type of mechanism, which I'll show you in a second. And so what I would do is I would just say, okay, let me know when to stop. Okay, we stop here, 30 seconds. Okay, let me know when to stop. I lean forward a little bit more. They say stop. I hold for 30 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds goes by. Okay, I'm going to push a little bit more. Let me know when to stop. Stop. And then I hold for another 30 seconds. So I can put one hand on the back of their calf. I could put this hand over their foot. That's fine too. Or I could cusp their shoe, right, with the bottom of their foot and the top of their shoe, which obviously that's what would it be even with them laying down. And then I would just hold, right? So I could use my hands and my body to create leverage for that particular stretch. If I don't have a roller stool, right? Or anything that helps me move around and be more mobile with regards to the stretching. I can sit on the table, right, behind them. Okay, and then I could obviously have one hand. I can have one hand on their heel, and then one hand here, or I can have a hand in front of their ankle and another hand, my other hand in front of their other ankle, so it looks like that, right? Or on top of their foot. Most of the time, it's because pushing on the foot sometimes will tend to be a little uncomfortable for the ankle, so we'll kind of put our hands, cusp our hands right at the lower end, distal end of the tibia fibula, right? So right where the ankle starts. Okay, so not on the joint, but right at the distal end of the tibia fibula. And at that point, I would do the same thing. Okay, this is their starting position. So I would lift up. I would say, okay, let me know when to stop. Stop. Then I sit down next to their leg, cusp their lower tibia, lower fibula, and then that's their starting point. Then it's 30 seconds. 30 seconds goes by. Let me know when to stop. Stop. That's 30. Another 30 seconds goes by. Let me know when to stop. Stop. And then I would scoot myself a little bit more. So I don't want to be here leaning forward, because then I put strain on my back. And if I stretch multiple people like this multiple days, it's going to begin to wear and tear on me, right? And I will begin to have pain and discomfort, and I will become much more tired than I could be if I learn to use my body the correct way to stretch individuals out. Okay, and so that will be, say, my next 30. So second 30, let me know to stop. Last 30 here. Okay, and then I hold for 30 seconds. Slide a little bit more, and I hold for 30 seconds. And then I switch legs. Now, that is for someone who is not very flexible, right? The next one would be someone who is moderately flexible. So moderately flexible would be they can flex their knee to past 90, right? So this is 90 degrees, past 90, right? And so this is where their starting point. This individual can get their heel almost to their butt, right? Almost to their butt. So they go to about here. They're at 30. So that's my starting point. I'm already not going to be on the stool. I'm going to stand up, sit down next to them. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll start here, 30 seconds. Let me know when to stop. I'm going to push a little bit more. Let me know when to stop. Stop. Okay. Now, even if I start getting more, I can't. I'm going to run into my glute area is going to hit their knee, right? So in this position, I would stand up next to them. Okay. So I would stand up next to them. So I could go from this position. This is the starting position. Let me know when to stop. Stop. Okay. Then I can hold the bottom of their foot, hold their leg, keep it there, stand up next to them. And then I finish the next two passes. Okay. Let me know when to stop. Stop. That's the second pass. 30 seconds. Now gravity is from my hand pushing down right on the anterior portion of their shin. I can also hold the bottom of their heel and bottom of their foot. This is the second pass, 30 seconds now. Let me know when to stop. Stop. And there's my third 30-second pass, right? Now their heel most likely is close to their glute. Almost. It could even be touching. And that's okay. If it's close to touch, that's okay, right? As long as they're feeling the stretch. What we don't want is for that third pass to get here and then, they're not feeling the stretch. So third pass here, it's almost touching. That's still a good stretch. They can feel it there as well. Okay, so that's the second stretch, which is the second individual who is moderately flexible, right? So the third individual we'll show is someone we'll say not moderate, but has very good flexibility. Okay, so that's where this individual, when they stretch, their flexibility is already here. Okay, we know maybe the first pass isn't going to get their heel to their butt, but the second pass or the third pass will. Okay, so we start here, and the first pass are like, oh, that's I can feel it. I can feel the stretch. Yeah, stop. So this is how it would look. So we go, okay, let me know when to stop. Stop. Okay, so now we know, okay, well, this person's pretty flexible. right? They can get to this point. It's almost full knee flexion, right? Almost full knee flexion here. Okay, so I start here, 30 seconds. I'm still standing up next to them. 30 seconds. Okay, I hold. Okay, let me know when to stop. And then the heel touches their glute. All right, and so now it's called soft tissue approximation. Okay, the calf muscle and the hamstring muscle are touching also, right? So we can't get as much of a stretch out because this muscle is approximating to this muscle, and also the heel is now touching the glute. So this is the first pass. We go, okay, let me know, stop. Okay, they're not feeling it. So the next we have to do is we have to pull back a little bit, because if we keep them there and we extend the hip, they're going to go, ow, it's going to hurt. Okay, so we're going to pull back a little bit out of flexion. We're going to go into knee extension a little bit. And then we're going to lift. Now, I can't lift and hold at the same time, especially a leg, right? Legs are heavy. And so if I hold and lift, my arms are going to start to fatigue, right? My left arm specifically, my biceps is going to start fatiguing. I'm not going to be able to hold that long enough. Okay, so what we can do, all right, is sometimes I will, if they're an individual who I would prefer to just keep lying on their stomach and not move them in this particular situation, I'm going to consider that. I can lift their leg and put my knee underneath. Okay, so this is usually this is a desk, but usually the tables are very soft and rounded. So the sharper edge table like this, it bugs my leg, so we don't want that. So I'm just going to lift and put my leg underneath and hold their knee on my leg. And now they might even feel a stretch already. Okay, like, oh, that's enough. So now I'm at hip extension, holding their knee in place. And this is the second pass. And now I say, okay, let me know when to stop. Okay, stop. That's it. They say, that's it. Okay, second pass, 30 seconds. Okay, now I keep their hip in extension. I don't move it up anymore. I'm going to just keep it fixed in hip in this type of extension. The third pass is going to require more knee flexion. Okay, so now this is the second pass. The third pass, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to push your heel toward your butt a little bit more. Let me know when to stop. Stop. And then now it might even be that their heel is not approximating to their glute yet. There's still a little bit of space. There's still a little bit of space between their heel, their shoe, or their heel, if their shoe's off their heel, if their shoe's on the heel of their shoe, and the soft tissue of their glutes. Okay, so there might be a little bit of space there like that. If that's the case, then we just keep it here, right? And that's okay. And that will be their third pass. If their third pass gets them to where now they're not feeling the stretch, okay, and there's no space, right, between their heel and their glute, it's gone, and they're not feeling as much of a stretch, then what we can do, we can keep their heel that position, and then at that point, we would extend their hip a little bit more, and by holding it, right, we would hold it a little bit more. We could also slide our leg in a little bit more as well to allow our leg to do most of the work, and then that would be a third 30-second pass. Okay, so that's the third individual who is very flexible in the quads, but not the most flexible. Okay, so the fourth patient or athlete or individual I'm going to show you is the individual who is super flexible, right? Where we say, okay, I'm gonna flex the knee. Okay, they don't feel a stretch at all in the quads. Okay, and then I extend the hip. So then what I'll be like, I'll say, okay, let me know when to stop. Oh, dang, right? They don't feel it. Okay, let me know when to stop. Extend. So I would say, let me know when to stop. They don't feel it. Let me know when to stop. They still don't feel it. And we'll get some individuals like that have super flexible quadricep muscles. At that point, we would lay them on their side. Okay. And so let me see if I can do it this way. Right. We would lay them on their side. And hopefully it stays. And then what we would do is we would stretch their leg sideline. Okay, so stretch their quad sideline. And I know this angle, this camera angle doesn't show what I want to show, but if you can imagine, their hip is extending, right? Their hip is extending and their knee is flexing, and we're getting more hip extension. So what I would do is I would stand behind them to the side like so. Let's do this. There's two ways. I'll show you this way. This is a little easier to demonstrate. So what I would do is I would put my hand on their hip. I would also put their knee on my hip as well. Okay, so we'll do this hip. Okay, we'll do this hip. We'll do this one. Do the left one. Okay, so their knee is on my hip. My other hand is on their hip. I am basically holding their foot and their leg with my hand. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let me know when to stop. And I'm going to extend their hip, okay, with my hip while holding their leg. And I'm not going to flex their knee, okay? I'm going to keep their knee in like at 40 degrees, and then I'm going to hold for 30 seconds. I'm going to say, okay, let me know stop. Then stop, 30 seconds. I'm going to keep their hip in extension, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flex their knee. You can see it a little bit. So I'm going to flex their knee. Okay, let me know when to stop. Stop. 30-second hold. Okay, again, let me know when to stop. Stop. 30-second hold. And I am using kind of a split stance in order to keep myself balanced and not where I have to work too hard. And then that 30 seconds, that third 30-second pass is where is when I'm done. Okay, so that completes my video demonstration and class demonstration on how to stretch the quadricep group.